Another day.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Um, I am Guillermo Pichardo. I'm the CEO of Dynamic Insurance Group. Over here, I got Jose, the office manager here at my office. Um, Together, we have assembled a team of sharks, a team of, you know, some of the top sales producers out there in the state of Florida. Um, Man, let's finish off this day right.
Well deserved after a day like today. A lot of sales today, so
Today was a tough day, I will admit, but we got it done. Not every day can be a good day either. I feel like that's hard for a lot of people to accept, man. That's part of the reason why there are so many silent quitters uh, in the sales industry that we're in, and generally in all sorts of sales industries, you know, because people want that instant reward. They want the instant gratification. They want to start a career. They want to start doing something, and they want to start making money immediately. And I feel like it's a process.
yeah, definitely is. I mean, especially in sales, that it really takes time to go ahead and accomplish the goals that you have. Especially sales is not like any other job where you can just get a degree and you have a set salary and you're supposed to be there for 8 hours a day and you're gonna get paid that amount. Sales, sometimes you go a whole week without getting any sales, but then you get that one sale and you start feeling good about yourself. You start getting more sales, and then you really see what the potential could be inside.
But I feel personally, I always felt about sales that that's the beauty of um, a sales job. Why do I say that? Is because you don't know if you're gonna be doing good one day. You don't know if you're gonna be doing bad the next. But how unpredictable it is, I feel like is a really important thing to keep in mind with sales, because that factor of being unpredictable, if you use that to your advantage, you can make that a very powerful thing. See, you can go to college for years, and I've had people that, for example, apply here at the office and they got bachelor's degrees. I've had MBAs apply, and they're looking for an opportunity not to make a set amount of money. They're not looking for just an hourly wage or a specific wage. They're looking for an opportunity somewhere where whatever they put into it, they're gonna get that result same out of it. So
Yeah,
that's the beauty of the nature of sales, because sales in general, the harder you go, the more it's gonna work. You can be the most untalented person in the room, and the hard work outbeats the talent every single time in sales.
as an owner, and someone that's been in the business for multiple years, and you're actively hiring. What are qualities that you look for in a new employee, especially in a sales environment, especially in insurance that is very I mean most I think the insurance rate 90% quit their first year. So what is that you're looking for in a person to qualify to be part of the office and be part of the team?
So one thing that I really look for, and that's honestly a really good question, because I'm not looking for anything in specific from anybody. I treat every single candidate the same, and I do two interviews during my interview process. I do a phone interview, and then after that 15-minute phone interview, I invite them for a formal in-person interview. And why do I do that? Because everybody has a different persona, and you can really tell a lot off a person by having a conversation with them over the phone for 10-15 minutes. Sometimes that phone interview is only 2 minutes once I know that, I know that it won't work. But it's not specific qualifications or any specifics that I'm looking for in people. It's more so the hunger aspect of it. I'm looking for people that are actually hungry. Um, it doesn't matter where you come from or what knowledge you have, what experience you have, because that's something that, as you've seen here on our team, it's something that we're willing to put the work in with them as long as they're coachable, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the person that comes with less experience, the person that has no experience, that's coming from a completely different, totally different, industry, they end up doing better than those that are coming from another sales industry. And why is that? Because people carry a baggage on them. They carry those bad habits and things that they've already accumulated off of their past sales experience. And sometimes that essentially ends up being the silent killer, the silent quitter, because they're already giving up. So, one qualification that I do look for is somebody that's coachable, somebody that's hungry, somebody that is really ready to give something a try. Because, for example, sales, insurance sales, this is something that you really have to go full throttle. You have to give it your all and try the hardest that you can. And then once it sticks because you learned a skill that, you know, nobody else knows.
Especially if you come from a different background, because I feel like if they, especially if they're applying from something completely different, they're already taking the most essential thing that there is to sales, which is taking risk. They're willing to go into another environment to try to look to make a lot more money, and they're taking the risk of getting into a territory they know nothing about, but they know it could be a potential to make a lot of money. And that's the thing that most people are scared of, is taking risks. Because without risk, you're not gonna learn. Without learning from your mistakes, you're not gonna grow. So
No risk, no
it's
reward.
exactly. So the fact that they're even applying and they're willing to join and get into the sales, learn about sales, and try to fall in love with sales, they're taking that first risk, which is the biggest step. They already, at least they're gonna be someone that they might be a lot more motivated. Someone that's already in sales, that's already been burned out by another company or by another industry that they've been in. They're fresh and they're willing to take the big first step, which is the most important part.
100%. That I believe that that's super important. Um, Knowing the risk that you take when it comes to sales, and also stepping outside of your comfort zone, because sometimes you're only in that specific place in life that you're in because you haven't stepped outside your own comfort zone. And sometimes all it takes is the right person coaching you there and taking you there to where you're put in a position where you have no choice but to step out of your comfort zone and do something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And I think that that's really important, because stepping outside of your comfort zone, and if you really want to see that high reward that everybody that's looking into sales is looking for, then not only do you have to step outside of your comfort zone, but you have to do the work of the people that you look up to. You have to do the work of that person that you want to be like, and you have
Yeah.
to do it to the highest degree. You have to do it, you know, ultimately to the max level, and do it the best that you can in order to one day benefit and be able to see the reward from it. Oh man, we haven't
Taking the first sip. But yeah, definitely. The biggest thing too is with sales, you could easily put 4 hours into it, 5 hours, and make the same as someone that's been working for 40 hours at the regular job. Apart from that, the investments, yes, it is an investment. Sometimes you might go some time without making as much money, But once you get your skills up and you learn how to communicate with people, 'cause that's the most important thing is learning how to communicate with people. And the biggest thing is being a listener. You're not gonna become a successful salesperson or in life in general too. I mean, and everything, you have to be able to listen more than what you talk, and to whoever you're listening to, whatever you're listening to, comprehend what you're listening and know how to respond and understand, and it's going to put you a lot more in a better position. Having that listening skill, it's the most important thing there is in sales, is learning how to listen and know the exact thing what to say and how you should say it.
Yeah. And that really goes back uh, right to being coachable. And as you know personally, I have a period of training in my office when I first hire you where um, you're not even working. You're getting paid just to shadow people,
Just listening for the
just
first
to
week.
listen to what they're doing and watch what they're doing so that you can learn hands on exactly what you have to do and how to do it right and correctly. And, you know, part of that period, um, and what comes after that period, which is when you first hit that shark tank and you start dialing and you start reaching out, um, that is that is a point in your life where you are sacrificing time for skill. That time that you're sacrificing is not time wasted, but it is all determined by how you view and how you use that time. Because that time during training, that time where you're actually applying the skills that you've learned, you're going to fail. And failure is a part of that sacrifice. One big thing that I learned in life over time is that the more you fail, the better you're going to do. Because believe me, that if you're really shooting for high goals, failure is a part of the process. And you have to become okay with failing. Because failing, I don't look at it the same way anymore. Failing to me, it's not failing, it's learning. And I feel like that's such an important thing that not everybody comes into it with that mentality. And of course, you know that you and me, we coach people to understand that part of this industry is failure, rejection, being okay with getting rejected. But if you're not okay with that, you know, I don't see you going very far. You
Yeah,
know,
because you're not gonna be able to look back and see, okay, how could I have done that situation better? What is it that I could have? What approach could I have taken to maybe would have given me a different result? Um, like just in general, without sometimes you get lucky. I mean, maybe you get into sales and you're selling and you just go up 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 up, but at one point you are going to fail, and it really sets you apart in how you handle that failure. Do you take it as a learning lesson, or do you just spiral down and just let that failure eat you up, and then from there you just burn out? You need to be able to learn from those failures and make sure that you think back and reflect, what could I do differently to get a better result or to avoid that for the next time. The next time comes around, you goes wrong again, you try something else
100%.
until something sticks.
It's it's all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
And learning doesn't come easy. Learning, it's like when you're riding a bicycle as a kid and you're first learning how to ride a bicycle. In some cases, you learn how to ride a bicycle with the training wheels. In some cases, they just throw you on the bicycle
Yeah.
until you stop falling over. But nonetheless, when it's your first time riding a bicycle, you're gonna fall over. And that is part of the process that I feel like personally this new generation, they're struggling to understand, because when they read a description and they see a job out there and they see an opportunity, they see the opportunity for the max goals that they can reach, and they think that they're going into something that on day 3 they're already going to be masters and they're going to be making money without putting in any of the work, which
Yeah.
it's the biggest strike of reality nowadays. And you know that we have certain producers that sometimes they get into their heads. We have producers that have been with us for a long time, and that even with them, sometimes when I'm listening to phone calls and I call them out on something they said wrong, they come in here and they actually thank me, because I was listening to that call and I caught on to something that maybe they didn't caught on to. But the biggest part about it is, again, going back to just being somebody that's coachable. I feel like one of the biggest tricks, one of the biggest hacks to success is not thinking that you know it all, knowing that you always have more to learn, and knowing that you always have more things that you can improve on. So that's just one of the biggest things.
Yeah, you can't go in with that mentality that you know everything, because at that point you're just gonna end up capping yourself.
Yeah.
That's really what comes down to you. If you think that you know everything and you do nothing wrong, then you're never gonna be able to get past the milestone that you're stuck at. You're just always gonna be stuck at that same level, never able to progress because you think that you know it all. And there's no better than where you're at now. You always had to be a student. I guess at that point, you always have to be willing to be a student. Even if you pass the master, your teacher, the one who taught you, the one who mentored you, you always have to be willing to learn and to listen to others and be coachable, because you never stop learning.
And one thing that I learned over time is not being cocky about it, not being prideful about it, but you always learn from each other. There's some things that sometimes, the masters know that you don't know, but there's also new things evolving and new things coming out that the master hasn't heard of yet, but the young grasshopper just happened to come across a new idea, an idea that might work. And it's all about not having that pride in the way. I feel like pride also in sales and in the sales industries, pride is something that really holds people back from being able to do good. We've had people in this office that could have been amazing, but they were too prideful.
In the wrong way, because you could take pride in the work that you have.
100%.
100%. You could take pride in the work that you have, but you can't have the attitude where you just think that you can't learn nothing from anybody else and you're the best of the best, and you're not willing to take any advice or learn anything new. You have to 100% have pride in your work. Definitely be happy about the things that you do and your accomplishments, and what you're made out of. But at the same time, you need to be willing to listen to learn to others as well.
100%. Another thing that I was gonna mention to you, Jose,
Yeah.
was that accountability, holding yourself accountable, and the victim mentality, because I feel like sometimes it's in human nature to victimize yourself. So automatically, I feel like that's what we tend to do. But I feel like it's a trait that we grow to hold ourselves accountable to the highest degree. And holding yourself accountable is, if not one of the most important things also. Not just in this industry, but in life in general. Because it doesn't have to come to sales, but the minute that you find yourself holding yourself accountable, for your flaws and the things that you could use improvement on, the accountability is what helps to take you to the next level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you think that the whole world is against you and that you can't progress because your boss or your coworker, you have that one guy in the office that just won't shut up, or you have kids, so because of your kids, you have to pick them up every day at a certain time, or anything else is going in life that you think that is stopping you from getting the money, from getting where you want to be in life. There are people out there that are in much worse situations, and they still made it happen. They still found a way to put those excuses to the side and become accountable for their own actions, and know that at the end of the day, you control your life. If you really want something to happen, you will find a way to make it happen. You won't let anything stop you from getting to where you want to be in life. That is 100% fact. I mean, you can't say, oh, I today I couldn't get to work on time because I live 2 hours away, and because I came late and the traffic is horrible, I'm gonna come today with a bad mindset, and things are not working my way because Miami is it's raining outside, and a whole bunch of reasons that you just want to make
Just
up for yourself.
finding
You're
any
just finding
excuse.
excuses, but at the end of the day, the excuse is yourself. You just don't care. If you could have someone in your family, your wife, your daughter, your mom, your dad, watch you in a camera, what you're doing all day, you have to be able to look back and say, if they were to be able to see my life day to day, would they be happy about what I'm
I
doing?
think about that all the time. I think about that. I'm like, and about both, not just
Yeah,
my mom, but I think, oh, would my mom and dad be proud of me? And I think that's one of the biggest things that changed my life is that I kept on thinking back, would my mom and dad be proud of me? And obviously, that doesn't apply for everybody. Everybody has a different life story. But personally, for me, that's one of the things that helped me to change my life, along with me holding accountability for the areas that I was lacking in and the things that I was doing wrong. But when it comes to, victimization and accountability, I feel like if there's 10 people in the same room and we're all doing the same thing, to give an example separate
yeah,
from ours, let's say we're all selling cars, right? And you sit there looking at the guy that's sold 12 cars for the month, and it's the middle of the month. There's one guy that sold 12 cars. There's a few that have sold 9 or 8 or 10, and then you're amongst the 2 or 3 that only have 2 or 3 sales for the month. And when you sit there and you think, oh, how lucky is this guy? He just got lucky. He got the right situation. Instead, you should sit there and start analyzing and writing down after every conversation that you have with a client to really see what you're doing wrong. And you shouldn't just do that when you're doing bad, but you should do that when you're doing good as well. Why? Because when you're doing good, you'll write down notes and you'll write down things on that notebook that you did when you were doing things right and when you were getting those sales. And that's also a reference that you can go back to.
yeah,
And that's something that I started to do since day one. I write down everything that I do all day. I write down the changes that I make. I write down, things that I do in the office. And to me, it helps me because I date everything and I write on the top of the paper if it was a good day or if it was a bad day. And I'm able to look back and read that paper and then reflect and see, okay, I didn't do this that day. Maybe that day was a day that, I I didn't give thanks to God, for example. or maybe that was a day that I didn't plan my day ahead of time. And the outcome of your day is based on what you put into it, what you do. How are you doing things differently? And it's also based on mindset and emotions. You can do the same thing, but if inside your brain the thoughts that you're putting out there are negative, it's not going to go your way, no matter how hard you try.
Even if you're having a bad day, you have to believe that you're having the best day. You can't let that
100%.
affect you, because it will consume you throughout the day, and your performance will show.
I feel like energy is such a strong thing that customers on the phone, you can be talking to them the same exact way that you talk to them on a great day, but I feel like they can pick up the energy from you when you're having a bad day.
Yeah, that's all I can go off is your voice. So definitely.
So energy is everything, and it revolves. It goes around, and if you're not putting out that energy, you're not gonna get the results.
Not even that. You got to be relatable too. You don't want to sound like a robot when you're talking to people on the phone. Like how many times do people get a random call on the phone, and it's just the same monotone voice over and over? They're just gonna hang up on you. But they get someone on the phone that's energetic, that wants to talk to you, that you have your own way of talking to the customer, starting up the conversation. You might hold them for another 2, 3 more seconds before they hang up. And what you say in those 2, 3 seconds will decide whether they stay on the phone with you or not. And might
That
decide
determines.
the sale.
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing. You don't want to be like everybody else. You want to find a way to set yourself apart. And the one thing is, having the energy. Especially in phone sales, most people don't have the energy. They're dialing 200-300 calls a day. They're tired, and they just really don't care. The ones that are the top producers, which is very few out of the majority, those are the ones that treat every single phone call that gets their first phone call.
Every single phone call is gold.
Yeah.
I tell everybody that. I think another important thing that I tell everybody is that, everybody's style and everybody's sales style is different. Everybody does something different, and their personality is different. You really have to learn to read the customer when you get on that call. But you can't even get to that step unless you've already entered that call with the utmost highest level of energy that you possibly could. So I agree with you there 100%. People that go into sales and they treat it like a 9 to 5, they're not cut out to do this.
No, it's not a 9 to 5. For that, you go get an education, or go work at the gas station,
or you go work at McDonald's.
It's not a 9 to 5. It will get you. Sales is the fastest way. If you want to become a millionaire, sales is the fastest way to go ahead and try to get that million, or try to get that 6 figures. You could spend 2, 3 years in a trade school, or you could spend 6, 8 years, going to college, studying a degree, which is fine, 100%, because that's all needed in life, 100%.
Respectable.
That's
respectable,
of course, 100%. But you could also spend 6 months and get $50,000 in 6 months, $80,000 in 6 months. It all really depends on you. Of course, depends on the industry. Sometimes it takes a bit longer than other. But if you go at it with the right mindset, and you're willing to be coachable, and you're willing to just be a sponge and soak up every single piece of knowledge, whether it be online or from your coworkers or from your boss, you will hit those numbers. Especially if you want to hit those numbers and you believe that you can and you want it, you're going to get it.
I've always gave this advice, especially during the sit downs and the individual talks that I have with everybody. I've always had this talk, and I tell them, I'm like, your network is your net worth. So you can choose to be a garbage man. You can choose to work at McDonald's or Burger King. You can choose to have a regular retail job. But it all determines if are you just treating it like an hourly job and hating your life while you're doing it? Or are you doing that job and are you grateful enough to appreciate that you at least have a job, that you're at least able to socialize and to network with other people, and then use it to treat your energy and put out the highest degree of energy that you possibly have to network and to make connections that could possibly take you to a whole other level that has nothing to do with getting paid 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Right? And that's advice that I always gave every single producer that has come into my office. Whatever your life choice was, whatever choice you made of career, use it and go all in on that one thing. Choose to master that one thing and to revolve your whole life around it. Make it your everything. And when you put that level of energy out there towards something, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to be successful in whatever you choose to do.
Just gotta be willing. That's the main thing. Willing and determined. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the first thing is as an example, we have a producer with us that, because of connections that he had, completely changed where he was at. I mean, he worked in a completely different industry and is now in sales and he's killing it.
Yeah.
From a completely different industry altogether.
He was awesome. And it always goes to show you that it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter if you come with a skill or not. If you're willing to put the work in and you're willing to give it 150% every day and try, you're going to gain that skill and you're going to gain the results over time. There's this quote by Rich Piana that I think I sent you once, and I look at this almost every other day. It's whatever you put in, you're going to get out. So whatever you put into something, you're going to get that out of it. So when I do something, I don't do something and just do it halfway or just do it just to do it. I do it, and if I'm doing it, it's because I'm going to apply myself 150% and I'm going to give it my all. And by doing that, you always are going to get the best results.
Yeah. What goes around comes around every single time.
100%.